So this is the long-awaited other half of reworking base perks. As you can probably tell by the length of this video, there's a lot less perks that I would change from the base perks for Survivor. That's because unlike Killer, many of the base perks for Survivors are actually pretty solid choices. So I'm not going to hold this video any longer, let's get straight into my suggested reworks. First off, we're going through the perks that I think need some slight changes. Nothing too big, it's usually just one tweak here or there to a part of their stats. Hope. Make it so it only works while healthy. This rips off the band-aid of Made for this Hope while also making it work really well with Adrenaline like it does currently. However, you could also do what Ott suggested in his Made for this video and just make them not stack. Either way, Hope and Made for this should not be a combination. Next is Kinship. Kinship is far weaker than Reassurance, but what it does have is that it protects yourself. But your teammates actually have to activate it for you, and unlike Reassurance, it only works on your second hook. So, let's make it not only work on your first hook, but show an icon to the other survivors in the activity HUD that you have this perk. There you go. And make it also work on the first hook state. Easy fix to Twitter users who are apparently getting camped every single game they play. Now, on the topic of old Steve perks, we have Renewal. If you've ever used this perk, and of course, if you've seen my recent video, Dollar Store Deliverance, it can actually be pretty rough to activate this perk. Healing someone off the ground or healing someone with a teammate only will give partial progress to this perk. So, I say just make it activate when you heal health state in general, no matter the amount you've healed. Since this perk can only be used 2 times a game anyway, might as well give it some consistency. Now we have Situational Awareness, previously known as Better Together. Now, I don't like the yellow color that it uses to highlight the gen. It can be easily confused for Trail of Torment or just Blast Mine. So I think, better yet, for this perk, I think instead of revealing the gen's aura with yellow, I think it should just reveal the aura of the person on the generator. This also gives it another use in showing your teammates who exactly is on what gen, so they know that it's you that has this perk and that, they know where to find you. I think that's just, a lot better than current one. And I think this change would help it to make it a lot more clear to people what exactly is in play. Now we got Plunderer's Instinct, and this is one that's more used for its aura reading effects because the higher rarity items from chests is not that great because it's often detrimental because you get items that have less of a use. You get either a map or a key, but while higher rarity items being more useless is more of an issue in and of itself, I think that Plunderer's Instinct should instead give 50% more charges to whatever item you pulled. I think that would be far more helpful. Of course, if you escape with this item, it wouldn't keep the charges, but, it'd still be a great reward for seeking out items through chests, as you would actually get more uses out of the item. And if you get a lucky item, like a purple medkit, or, like a purple or green toolbox, you get far more use out of that toolbox. And last of the small changes, we have This Is Not Happening. Pretty simple change, just make it work while you're healthy. The injured requirement is very pointless. There's no reason for it to even be there, as the effect itself is really not that big. I also thought giving it a little added effect of increased skill checks while working on a gen alone would also be a good change. Nothing too drastic, and I think it really fits the theme of the perk. And I just think it would make it far more useful for newer players and just people who are just, really good at hitting great skill checks. So, now we're into the rework portion of this video. We have 4 perks in this section. Alright, starting with No One Left Behind. This is not a bad perk. This perk can stay as is, but I did have an idea for a rework that's fitting with the theme of the perk. I think you should get a 6% haste while not in chase whenever someone is on the hook. This would help to get saves by letting you more easily make it to faraway hooks and prevent people from either hitting second state or just straight up dying on the hook. This is something that's really helpful, especially in solo queue when you don't know if your teammates are getting the unhook or not. So I also give it a secondary effect for other survivors to see your aura when someone is on the hook, or even in dying state. So that way they can have solid info on you going for the save, so nobody has to worry about is someone getting the save when there's not Kindred in play. They can simply see your aura heading right to the hook. Slippery Meat is a perk that's just really strange. If you stack it with Loth Offerings and up the ante, it can be super annoying because survivors are almost guaranteed to get off. Yet another plug for dollar store deliverance. If you haven't seen that video, I abused slippery meat and luck pretty hard in that video to pull off a very funny thing. But in general, making this perk affecting the odds of getting off the hook is a very slippery slope. So I didn't want to really rework it to focus around the hook, so instead I'm just going to fully change it to, while injured, you do not generate blood while not sprinting. Shifting this perk from a niche gimmick to a solid stealth perk, so while walking, you can't be tracked. Small game. Now, small game is not too bad. It's currently a pretty decent perk for finding totems, and the information for knowing how many totems are left in the trial is pretty helpful as well. But I wanted to throw out another idea. So, like Inner Strike, it would activate after cleansing a dull totem. Then, this perk would reveal any hex totems that you come within 8 meters of, and make its usual sound cue. I also kept its token system to track how many totems are left in the trial, but now when you get to 4 tokens, it reveals the last totem, as a sort of counter to Noed. Something that, if you cleanse all 4 of the other totems, you know where that last totem is, so if Noed procs, or, you could just cleanse that last totem to prevent Noed, something that I think is very helpful for new players to have. It's just a nice counter for new players to Hexes. And I thought, since it's more of a beginner perk, I think you could add a 33% blood point bonus to cleansing totems and give 2,000 when you cleanse a hex totem, so it's a flat number. So yeah, I think having a cool little blood point bonus on top there is also cool. Considering totems already give you a lot of blood points, this could just be a good blood point farming perk to run. Okay, lastly on the base perks reworks, we have possibly the worst perk on the survivor side, Premonition. Now, it is intended to give you info about the killer, but it doesn't really do that job very well. So I thought, how about making it do that, but more directly under different circumstances? So I wanted to make a more experimental change. How about you reveal the killer's aura for 12 seconds whenever you get a negative status effect from them? Of course, like normal Premonition, this would have a cooldown of 45 seconds. This might be too good, or it might be a little terrible. I really don't know. This is one that I would love to see comments on. So, there you go. Base perks on Survivor are pretty solid overall, but I hope you enjoyed the video and the ideas that I came up with. Leave some comments about these concepts, mainly the Premonition one. That's one that I'm very curious on what you guys think. I don't know if it's too much, too little, or a pretty fine perk overall. I'd love to see what you guys have to say. And hey, if you haven't watched the original reworking based killer perks, it's on the screen right now. I really recommend that one. It's a bit of a longer video, but there's a lot of good ideas in there. See you in the next one.